Since the early 20th century, the political climate of New Orleans and the greater New Orleans area has been significant in the context of Louisiana as a traditional red state. Its liberal standards, made complete by the name the Big Easy, or the City That Care Forgot, have promoted a different form of republicanism throughout the southeast region of Louisiana. But why, after weighing the political factors of New Orleans, which should illustrate a red city, such as religion, culture, socioeconomic hierarchy, and Southern values, does New Orleans consistently vote Democratic? One explanation of this phenomenon is the racial issues found within the city limits. Although slavery is dead, the mindset of white versus black is mimicked more or less throughout generations. According to Kristen Burris, New Orleans has long participated in exploitation of African Americans in regard to its economy and political policies. The feelings held by traditional whites and traditional blacks have rolled over into the political realm of today's New Orleans. It is common for blacks to vote for Democrats and for whites to vote for Republican according to race. An example of this is the congressional election of 2006 involving Congressman William Jefferson. Earlier that year, FBI agents had raided Jefferson's Washington office as part of an ongoing investigation of bribery and corruption. Eventually, Jefferson was indicted on charges of bribery and sentenced to 13 years in prison in 2009. Before this, he won re-election in 2006 during his bribery case and made it as far as the runoff in 2008 at the peak of his trial, which has been explained as a result of the increased African American turnout for the presidential election of Barack Obama. Another explanation of racial differences touching on socioeconomic separations in the city is the existence of social clubs within uptown New Orleans still mirroring those social clubs of the early 1900s. The racial divide is as illustrated here than anywhere else. The social clubs only accept white men, usually those of affluence, lineage, or popularity within New Orleans. Furthermore, the balls, debutante celebrations for the young women, usually daughters of the men in the club, which are held usually a month prior and up to Mardi Gras Day, are held in locations such as banquet halls or New Orleans Country Club, the most selective and racially exclusive institution in the city. Black men or women are frowned upon as guests, and the only instance of African American presence is as staff at the balls. Furthermore, at the beginning of each ball, there is a satirical play mocking local and federal politicians. These plays clearly reflect the views of affluent whites in New Orleans, as they mostly make fun of African American and Democratic politicians, such as Barack Obama, former mayors Ray Nagin and Mark Morial, former Governor Edwin Edwards, and even white Democratic Mayor of New Orleans, Mitch Landrieu. This is a further explanation of a racial political divide, paving way to a volatile and dynamic political climate in New Orleans. After noting these possible explanations based on race, another potential factor in New Orleans' dynamic political culture involves the presence of a youthful and liberal class within the city, both as intellects and as everyday citizens. There are two major universities in New Orleans, Loyola University and Tulane University, both of which are neighbors. It's common for outsiders to believe that graduates of these universities would be children of old money, New Orleanians. However, in recent years, many students have come from the north. This dynamic has added more liberal views in the city's growing youth population. Additionally, in the areas around the French Quarter, especially along the northern part of the quarter, and to the east along Esplanade Avenue, resides a large homosexual population. These men and women have radically liberal views, holding strong to citizens' rights, socially liberal standards, and an acceptance of same-sex marriage, adding to the opposition of traditionally conservative Southern Republicans. Furthermore, throughout the entire city resides a vast majority of lower-class New Orleans public school educated people, not only blacks, but whites and Hispanics as well. These people side with democratic views such as lowering taxes for the poor and raising taxes for the wealthy, adding money to social programs such as Medicaid and Medicare, as well as a continuation of welfare and food stamp programs. These citizens continually vote Democratic. Even if these factors are true, there are many other sub-factors that may further explain why New Orleans is so much different than the rest of Louisiana. According to Peter Burns, clear divisions about how to rebuild continue to exist among white and African American residents, citizen groups, businesses, and state and local government. Although it is evident that New Orleans isn't changing anytime soon, a contextual explanation to this phenomenon is possible and necessary. Regardless, New Orleans will continue to stand out in Louisiana as the red-headed stepchild, or for the sake of the argument, the blue-headed stepchild mother never wanted.